Hello and welcome to Act 3, Scene 3 of our journey through Othello. Join us, it's only me here. Join me now as we move forward. So we are now on, here we are, Act 3, Scene 3. There we go. So let's jump straight in and have a look. So remember that we have Desdemona petitioning Othello on behalf of Cassio. Because Cassio is petitioning Desdemona, and Desdemona is petitioning Othello, essentially, to reinstate him after the whole drunken debacle, which was obviously a setup by Iago. So again, we have Shakespeare having us join mid-conversation in media res, where we've got, "Be thou assured, good Cassio, I will do all my abilities in thy behalf." So we've joined this mid-conversation, as Shakespeare often does. It's more interesting that way. And Emilia speaking on behalf of... There's a lot of people speaking on behalf of people. There's a little bit of a theme going on here. Emilia speaking on behalf of her husband. "I warrant it grieves my husband as if the cause were his." And again, this is good for the theme of appearance versus reality, because Emilia, despite being married to Iago, like everybody else in the play, doesn't know him, doesn't actually know the reality. And sure enough, "Oh, that's an honest fellow." Yeah, no, he's not, is he? So we have more courtly style language from Cassio. So remember that Cassio is very different to Iago. He's got this more gentlemanly, more romantic persona, is more sophisticated. And we've got this kind of language here, very courtly language. "He's never anything but your bounteous madam, whatever shall become of Michael Cassio, he's never anything but your true servant." Talking about himself in third person there. So maybe there's a bit of an ego thing going on. Then the next bit I was going to pick out was from Desdemona here. This, of course, looks... Well, this looks innocent, but of course from Othello's increasingly poisoned perspective, this is going to look really suspicious. "If I do vow a friendship, I'll perform it to the last article. My lord shall never rest. I'll watch him tame and talk him out of patience. His bed shall seem a school, his board a shrift. I'll intermingle everything he does with Cassio's suit." So in some ways this could be connected to Desdemona's youth. She's very young. Maybe there's a sense of naivety here, but this is going to be perceived by Othello as Desdemona going on and on about another man. Now, as a married man, he's married to Desdemona. He doesn't want to hear her talking about his former lieutenant. This isn't going to work, but of course there's dramatic irony here because the audience knows what's going on. So from what seems innocent here, I suppose, or at least it's mildly suspicious, depends on your view of it. But Othello, again, it's perceptions, it's reality versus that perception of it. And you've got it here again as well. You've got Othello's going to not see this in the same way. It's going to look very suspicious. "For thy solicitor shall rather die than give thy cause away." That's very hyperbolic there. So... she's really going to argue Cassio's case, which it does look increasingly suspicious. Maybe Iago's words are working on me as well, I don't know, but it does seem it's over the top, I think, isn't it? And talking of Iago, here comes Othello as well. Othello and Iago together. "Madam, I'll take my leave." Again, this is looking suspicious. And of course, Iago is the opportunist, Machiavellian character that he always is, does take advantage of this. Anyway, Desdemona says, "Why stay and hear me speak?" She's going to argue Cassio's case. Madam, not now. I am very ill at ease, unfit for my own purposes." So he's feeling awkward about Desdemona arguing his case with him being there. But this is what I mean about Iago taking advantage of it. So Shakespeare has established Iago countless times as this Machiavellian, opportunistic character. He can take advantage of any situation. He sees Cassio slinking away. And we get this little comment to Othello. And of course, Othello thinks Iago is his most loyal friend in the world. I like not that. As it, that doesn't look good. And it, to be honest, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. Again, perceptions. But Iago's doing this to obviously stir up Othello's emotions. What does that say? Nothing, my lord, or if I know not what. So look how Shakespeare creates Iago's duplicitous character here, doing that really very much like a devil, temptation with words. We've said before, Iago is like a devil. He is all like the devil. He's definitely a demonic figure. He's like the devil, and in this case, temptation. The devil's very much into temptation, isn't he? Iago is tempting Othello with information by going, oh, it's nothing. You've got to want to know, aren't you? If someone asks you, what's that you're holding there? Oh, nothing. Well, come on, let's have a look at it. It's that kind of idea, isn't it? Wasn't that not Cassio parted from my wife? Cassio, my lord? No, sure, I cannot think that he would steal away so guilty like, seeing your coming. So again, you have Iago doing this mental programming by inverting the truth, isn't he? He's actually inverting the truth. He's saying, by saying the opposite, saying, no, it's not that. If you study psychology, you'll know about it's reverse psychology, isn't it? This is classic reverse psychology. He's implanting these ideas. Oh, it can't be Cassio creeping away so guiltily. So he's acknowledging someone was creeping away guiltily. Oh, but I don't think it was Cassio. And Othello goes, no, it was Cassio. You. So he's playing him here. He's programming his mind. I do believe 'twas he. How now, my lord? I've been talking with a suitor here, a man that languishes in your displeasure. Who is it you mean? So then Desdemona then confirms, why, your Lieutenant Cassio. If I have any grace or power to move you, his present reconciliation take. So this is her doing what she thinks is a good deed, pleading on Cassio's behalf. But of course, combined with Iago's mental programming with Othello, we've got a problem here. Othello is being stirred up. His emotions, his jealousy is being stirred up, partially through, not partially, it's totally through Iago's opportunistic exploitation of situations. Whence he hence now? So, yes, Faith, so humble that you have left part of his grief with me to suffer with him. Good love, call him back. Not now, sweet Desdemona, some other time. But shall it be shortly? The sooner, sweet, for you. Shall it be tonight at supper? So we have here an example of sticomythia, which is these quick fire exchange of lines. So Shakespeare's written this. It looks like what would be, there's more words to describe female speech negatively than male speech. Actually, I can't think off the top of my head any real gendered way of negatively describing male speech. But I'm thinking here of, to Othello, using that kind of gendered language, he would think of it as nagging. I'm using air quotes that you can't see there. But this looks like this will create that sense of, oh, this is my wife's going on at me about the same thing. That's what it would seem from that kind of misogynistic angle. It would look like that. As I say, there's loads. If you think about it, there's loads of words to negatively describe female speech rather than male speech. When in fact, in real life, research suggests men and women talk as much as each other. Most research suggests that. Anyway, that's a slight detour from what we are talking about here. But you can see, again, and also to Shakespeare's audience, this is going to look like Othello's being pestered by Desdemona and going on, I don't want to talk about Cassio. She keeps going on about it, Othello's perspective. Stop going on about Cassio all the time. Why then, tomorrow night or Tuesday morn? On Tuesday noon, this bit isn't sticomythia, it's got to be the quick fire exchanges. Why then tomorrow night or Tuesday morn, on Tuesday noon or night or Wednesday morn? I prithee name the time, let not exceed 3 days. In faith he's penitent. So for Othello, he's got to be suspicious. Why is my wife going on and on about this other man I've demoted? Why is she going on about him? That's going to be his perspective. Prithee no more. Prithee means pray thee. Like, it's an imperative. It's basically saying shut up. Stop going on about him. Let him come when he will. I'll deny thee nothing. He can come. Let him come. I don't care. Why, this is not a boon, as in this is of no benefit. 'Tis as I should entreat you wear gloves or feed on nourishing dishes to keep warm. So saying, let him. She's saying that's no help for you to say, oh yeah, let him come when he comes. That's fine. I will deny thee nothing. So this is repeated, this exclamatory sentence here. Whereon I do beseech thee, grant me this to leave me but a little to myself. He wants to be left alone because now he feels, he's pestered. He's finding Desdemona a nuisance, and of course Iago has created this situation. It's creating a wedge between them because there's now a difference in understanding. And I think also in the relationship as well, like they're not actually being completely open with each other about what's going on. This could be to do with, on Desdemona's part, her youth. In Othello's part, you could argue it's a form of naivety. You could argue that it's their relationship isn't that old. Maybe it's to do with that. But if they were more open, they could actually short circuit Iago's scheming. You could argue that. It's up to you what you think. Anyway, excellent wretch, perdition catch my soul, but I do love thee, and when I love thee not, chaos is come again. So he does love Desdemona, but even though I haven't highlighted this bit for some reason, maybe I got distracted, but this foreshadows problems as well. When I love thee not, chaos is come again. So that foreshadows future difficulties, let's just put it like that. Did Michael Cassio, when you wooed my lady, know of your love? He did, from the first to last. Why dost thou ask? But for a satisfaction of my thoughts, no further harm. This is, again, all designed, obviously Shakespeare's writing it for Iago, to create suspicion in Othello's mind with the use of interrogatives or interrogatives, however you want to say it. I'm struggling this morning, sorry. Or it won't be necessarily morning when you're listening to this, but you get the point. I'm struggling right now for some reason with my words. Then this is, again, all designed to create uncertainty here. And went between us very oft, as if actually Cassio was conveying messages. So that's, Iago is stoking suspicion. Indeed, I did discern thou art in that. Is he not honest? Honest, my lord? Honest, honest. These are all kind of echoic responses. Look how Iago is mirroring what Othello says. And this just looks evasive. My lord, for aught I know, what dost thou think? Think, my lord? Think, my lord? By heaven, thou echoest me as if there was some monster in my thought. And that's ironic. Some monster in my thought, because that's exactly what Iago is. There's a metaphor there. Monster, I thought, too hideous to be shown. Iago has a reputation of being honest. Iago has a reputation of not wanting to get other people into trouble. So when Shakespeare's got Iago using these echoic responses, it makes him look like he's being evasive. So that does mean something. I heard thee say even now, thou likest not that when Cassio left my wife. What did not like? And when I told thee he was of my counsel, my whole course of wooing, thou criedst indeed, and didst contract and purse thy brow together, as if thou then had shut up in my brain some horrible conceit. So he said, like, when I said that he knew about me and Desdemona getting together and he passed on messages, you screwed your face up. You made a face. Why did you do that? My lord, you know I love you. This looks completely irrelevant, doesn't it, as well? You know I love you. I think thou dost. This is all presented as honest truth. Therefore these stops of thine fright me the more, for such things in false disloyal are tricks of custom. But in a man that's just, they're close dilations working from the heart that passion cannot rule. So there's dramatic irony here, and Othello thinks, when you got a dishonest man screw up his face and make these claims, it's really suspicious. So, but you, Iago, you're a really honest guy, and when I see you making a face like that and saying these things and shaking your head, etc., etc., I'm worried because you're such an honest guy. It means I'm going to believe you. So, unfortunately, Othello's trust of Iago is his weakness. He's falling further into Iago's web of deceit. Dramatic irony here. Men should be what they seem, or those that be not, would they might seem none. Of course, Iago himself is the master of duplicity. Why then I think Cassio's an honest man. Nay, there's more in this. I prithee speak to me as if as to thy thinkings, as thou dost ruminate, and give thy worst of thoughts, the worst of words. So there's parallel phrasing there. Shakespeare's used parallel phrasing, and the idea of, again, this reinforces this idea of Iago is stirring up Othello's emotions. Then we have, one bit I was going to highlight was, though I perchance am vicious in my guess, as I confess it is my nature's plague to spy into abuses, and oft my jealousy shapes faults that are not. Again, more irony in that Iago says, essentially that he's a good person. He can be suspicious himself and jealous himself, and he thinks, well, I'm worried about what I see sometimes. Maybe I see things that aren't actually there. But this is obviously all false. Good name in man and woman, dear my lord, is the immediate jewel of their souls, who steals my purse, steals trash. 'Tis something nothing, 'twas mine, 'tis his, and has been slave to thousands. But he that filches from me my good name robs me of that which not enriches him, and makes me poor indeed. So, again, Iago's personality as a kind of wise, trustful advisor is saying, well, if I've got a good name and someone steals my purse, then all they've taken is my money. But if I've got a good name and someone takes my good name from me, then that is worse than losing money. That's worse than losing money. So this actually connects to the situation with Cassio, doesn't it, in his reputation? You're worried about his reputation. So Iago's actually, well, Shakespeare's right that he's making a connection back to Cassio there, but in this case it's to do with Iago presenting himself as a false, trusted advisor, effectively. And here we go, here's a big one. This is a big quotation, very big, important quotation, and one that's even absorbed into the English language. Oh, beware, my lord, of jealousy. It is the green-eyed monster which doth mock the meat it feeds on. So this famous metaphor connects to maybe arguably the biggest theme of the play, isn't it, which is all jealousy. There's obviously other themes as well. But again, it's ironic that he is giving advice about this. This is exactly what he wants to happen. This is like the reverse psychology thing. Beware of jealousy. He wants Othello to be consumed by this monster of jealousy himself. That cuckold lives in bliss, who certain of his face loves not his wronger. So the man who's being cheated on, who doesn't know anything about it, can live happily because he doesn't know that anything's happened to him. But oh, what damned minutes tells he o'er who dotes, yet doubts, suspects, yet strongly loves. There's a bit of incrementum there as well, like that sense of build-up, but he's saying, but it's worse for the man who does love and does suspect. That's even worse. The ignorant cuckold is in a better position. Like, ignorance is bliss, effectively. Like that phrase is effectively saying that. So the man being cheated on who doesn't know about it is okay. But the man who's deeply in love, who does suspect it, is in mental turmoil. So Shakespeare has Iago use an analogy here. And so again, this is what I mean about he's presented as a wise advisor, isn't he? Because he comes out with all these words of wisdom, these phrases. Poor and content is rich, and rich enough, but rich's fineness is as poor as winter to him that ever fears he shall be poor. With this idea, this analogy, Iago is saying that, okay, well, you could be rich or you could be poor, but it's basically like you're poor if you're a rich person who is always afraid of being poor. And that's the analogy for Othello's situation with jealousy. So, he may be rich in Desdemona's love, but if he's worried about losing it all the time, then he's like he hasn't got that love. Good God, the souls of all my tribe defend from jealousy. Again, it's ironic because he really wants Othello to come to jealousy. Now, interestingly, compared to the racist characters in this play, who never need any evidence, for, say, like Iago with his idea of he suspects that Othello is having sex with his wife, but he doesn't have any evidence of it, and he says, oh, the rumour's enough. Othello is different. He needs evidence that Desdemona is having an affair. I'll see before I doubt. When I doubt, prove, and on the proof there is no more but this, away at once with love or jealousy. He needs proof. That's really important. Then there's a bit of context here. In Venice, they do let God see the pranks they dare not show their husbands. This actually also plays on Othello's status as an outsider as well, because again, you have Iago is giving advice to Othello and saying, well, these Venetian women, they do get up to all kind of things. God sees stuff they get up to that their husbands don't. So it's all this little sprinkling of poison into Othello's mind all the time. And here we go, look, referring way back to things in Act 1. She did deceive her father marrying you. So remember that actually, again, Shakespeare there is echoing Brabantio's words. And Iago actually really programmed Brabantio as well, didn't he? Desdemona's father. And he warned Othello that she might deceive him as well. So there is a consistent thread here. This all goes back to Iago's malevolent influence. Why go to then, she that so young could give out such a seeming to steal her father's eyes up close as oak? He thought 'twas witchcraft, but I am much to blame. So the idea here is, well, there's two things going on here. Is one is this refers back to Act 1, is saying, well, she was so young and so he was so surprised she could deceive him. He thought it was witchcraft. So Iago is again opportunistic. He's twisting the situation to his advantage. And this again plays to Othello's insecurity. And Shakespeare is also, it creates cohesion because it connects to the start of the play as well. And then look at this for dramatic irony. But I am much to blame. To Othello, this sounds like Iago is being quite humble and thinking, oh, I feel like I'm partially responsible for this. I feel bad because, I think I could have done something about this. But it's actually, he's literally to blame with it, I humbly do beseech you of your pardon for too much loving you. So he's at fault saying, I think I'm sorry about this. I just because I care about you so much, more dramatic irony. I am bound to thee forever. That's also ironic, and it also foreshadows the idea of Iago. He's bringing down so many characters down to hell, basically. He is like the devil. He is bringing people down, and I am bound to thee forever foreshadows that. He's bringing Othello down to hell in his actions. He's condemning so many characters in this play. So it continues Shakespeare's establishment of Iago as a devil figure as well. So, again, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. Don't necessarily ignore stuff here. You might find some things you want to talk about. I just pick out the bits I'm most interested in. I do not in position distinctly speak of her, though I may fear her will, recording to her better judgment, may fall to match you with her country forms and happily repent. So you can interpret this here, and actually I should have highlighted this bit as well, but there's the point. As to be bold with you, not to affect many proposed matches of her own clime, complexion, and degree, whereto we see in all things nature tends, for one may spend such a will most rank, foul disproportion. So you can have here is saying that this actually kind of links to the racism in the play and racism of the era as well, and the idea of Desdemona hasn't gone with her natural. Look at this. There's a lot of things. The idea of natural proposed matches. All things nature tends. Her natural partner would be a white Venetian of her own class, clime, complexion, and degree, her own class. So because of her marrying Othello as a black man, as an outsider, or as a Moor, he's an outsider, isn't he? He's outside of that class. He's an outsider in terms of his ethnicity. So he's saying, well, this could lead to problems with her. This could have lead to the problems of why she is the way she is. Again, he's stirring up Othello's mind there. I do not in position distinctly speak of her, though I may fear her will, according to her better judgment, may fall to match her with her country forms and happily repent. So you could interpret that as that you may not match up to what she was necessarily expecting, what kind of person she was expecting to marry, that's her kind of relationship she was expecting. She would have been growing up in that upper class Venetian society, and Othello is not from that white Venetian upper class society. And the happily repent part, she may. So the racism comes through here because Iago effectively suggests that Desdemona is effectively weird for marrying someone so different to her, i.e., a black man, as opposed to her own ethnicity and class that she's grown up with. So again, this is again designed to stir up emotion in Othello's mind. So we have Othello saying to farewell. I was just drawing the wrong thing. Hold on, that's my highlighter mode. Let me go back to normal. So farewell, farewell. If thou dost thou perceive, let me know more. That's all about perception as well, isn't it? Good. Set on thy wife to observe. Leave me, Iago. So getting Amelia to spy on her as well. You can see this is all about perceptions and seeing things. Iago beginning to exit. My lord, I take my leave. Why did I marry? This honest creature doubtless sees and knows more, much more than he unfolds. Dramatic irony here, talking about Iago. Iago gives some extra advice as well in terms of leave it to time. Although 'tis fit that Cassio have his place, for sure he fills it up with great ability. Yet if you please to hold him off a while, you shall by that perceive him and his means. Note if your lady strain his entertainment with any strong or vehement importunity, much will be seen in that. So Iago, again, being Machiavellian here, says, well, Cassio, he's good in his job and he deserves to be reinstated, but hold back, because you can then see if your wife, if Desdemona keeps going on about reinstating him, you'll see that there's a problem. Again, so it's Iago is master manipulator. So then Othello is then left on his own. We get a little soliloquy. We have more dramatic irony. This fellows of exceeding honesty and knows all qualities with a learned spirit of human dealings. Yes, again, no, I'm afraid this is Shakespeare depicting Othello as having poor judgment here. But remember, Othello's not the only person taken in by Iago. Then, if I do prove her haggard, though that's an animal metaphor. Haggard is, like a bird of prey that can't be tamed, actually, significantly. Though I just his word, dear heartstrings, I'll whistle her off and let her down the wind to prey at fortune. So it extends the metaphor there as well. And also, in Shakespeare's time, falconry was an aristocratic sport. It was a sport of gentlemen as well. So it suggests about Othello's social status there as well, that he's using an animal analogy from an aristocratic or an upper class pastime. There you go. That's a little bit of dramatisation for you there. Then, happily, for I am black and not those soft parts of conversation that chamberers have, for I am declined to the vale of years. And this here is self-deprecation, as in he's criticising himself, for I am black is linking it to his ethnicity, for I am black and have not those soft parts of conversation that chamberers have. He's comparing himself to Cassio here as well, like chamberers. He thinks, I'm not like that kind of courtly lover like Cassio is. Or for I am declined into the vale of years, and he's older, yet that's not much. She's gone, I am abused, and my relief must be to loathe her. So he's effectively saying she prefers Cassio. I'm older, and she likes him because he's a white man, he's a traditional courtly lover type romantic, and I'm not. I'm neither of those things. O curse of marriage that we call these delicate creatures ours and not their appetites. So there's a theme of marriage in the play, and there's a theme of control there as well, that he said, I can't control what she loves. But of course, this is all artificial. This is all being poisoned into... Missed the line, sorry, I was going to... I'd rather be a toad in Othello's mind and live upon the vapour of a dungeon than keep a corner in the thing I love for others' uses. So yet more animal imagery as well. And then the idea, the image being of being like, I'd rather be a toad in a dungeon and live a life like that. It's hyperbolic as well, isn't it? Than be married to a wife who is being used by other men. So I'd rather, that would be an awful. I'd rather live like a toad in a dungeon. Yet 'tis the plague of great ones, prerogative are they less than the base. So actually, as well, Shakespearean tragedy, it does deal with the problems of high social status people. So Othello again is a high social status person as well. We get these problems more than common people. 'Tis destiny unshunnable like death. Even then this forked blade is fated to us when we do quicken. Look where she comes. So Desdemona comes back in as well. Why do you speak so faintly? Are you not well? I have a pain upon my forehead here. Now, of course, context point is this is to do with cuckoldry. Like the idea of a man being cheated on would have... There was this folklore belief of having horns growing when the man's being cheated on. And these are kind of metaphorical horns, and there's also... This goes on for a few hundred years. Even like paintings in the 1700s would show where there's a man. It looks like he's got horns within his hair, and it's signalling that this man's being cheated on. His hair, his curls of his hair look like horns to suggest he's being cheated on by his wife, who's also in the picture somewhere else. So that's why he's got the pain in the forehead. He'd be rubbing his forehead, and it's symbolising that he's being cheated on. Now, to a Shakespearean audience, they might take that as, oh, she is cheating on him because he's rubbing his head and feeling he's got cuckold's horns. But it could just be symbolic. But to Shakespeare's audience, they might take that as more of a sign that he is actually being cheated on, because obviously they believe in a kind of supernatural world where cause and effect can be linked in a very strange way. So he's rubbing his forehead as if he's growing horns because his wife is having an affair, But as I say, it could just be symbolic. That makes sense. Then this handkerchief business, it may seem insignificant, but it's actually fairly important. Well, I say fairly important, very important. Let me bind it hard. Within this hour, it'll be well. So he's got a sore head. She wants to care for her husband. Your napkin is too little, as in the handkerchief. Come, I'll go with you. I'm very sorry that you're not well. Amelia picks up the handkerchief. I'm glad I found this napkin. Obviously, they both leave. This was her first remembrance on the moor. My wayward husband hath 100 times wooed me to steal it. I can't believe Amelia has never been that suspicious of why her husband keeps asking, oh, can you get me that handkerchief, please? Well, no, I don't want to. Oh, go on, get me that handkerchief. And so 100 times, it's probably hyperbole, but I can't believe she wasn't suspicious. Like, why would he want it? But anyway... Wooed me to steal it, but she so loves the token, for he conjured her she could ever keep it, that she reserves it evermore about her. Shakespeare is setting this up as a plot device. It's an object as a prop. It's going to be significant, and Shakespeare is actually effectively telegraphing this is a really important object. It's Othello's first present that he gave Desdemona. She's dropped it now. I'm going to pick it up. I'm pleased because my husband keeps going on at me to get this handkerchief and steal it. He wants it for some reason. I don't know why. And so Shakespeare is effectively telegraphing this object's going to be important. I'll have the work taken out and give to Iago. What would he do with it? Heaven knows, not I. I had nothing but to please his fantasy. As a wife, her wifely duties, again contextually speaking, is to do what her husband says. So if he wants the handkerchief, she's going to get it. She didn't want to steal it, but she's found it. So now opportunistically, rather like the way that Iago opportunistically works, Amelia is unwittingly helping Iago with his schemes. Her husband's told her to get this handkerchief. She's stumbled across it, so she's going to pass it on to him. Of course, as well, in Shakespeare's time, a handkerchief is a much more significant item. I mean, most people in the modern age don't carry handkerchiefs around with them, but in those days, it's a very intimate item. It's much more kind of significant item. So you have Iago talking to Amelia. How now? What do you hear alone? Do you not try to have a thing for you? You have a thing for me. It is a common thing, to have a foolish wife. So there is more interplay between the characters here, and it suggests that Iago's misogyny coming through as well. Oh, is that all? What will you give me now for that same handkerchief? What handkerchief? What handkerchief? More echoic responses here, which refers back to Iago talking to Othello, doesn't it? So Shakespeare's using a similar structure here. Why that the Moor first gave to Desdemona, that which so often you did bid me steal, has stolen it from her? So Iago obviously wants Amelia to be of the dark side of himself. He wants her to be like him, really, like steal things. He probably can't understand why she'd have any moral obligation from stealing. Actually, I would suspect. No, Faith, she let it drop by negligence, and to the advantage I being here took it up. Look, here it is. A good wench, give it me. What will you do with it that you have been so earnest to have me filch it? Why, what is it to you? So what is that to you? If it not be for some purpose of import, give it me again. Poor lady, she'll run mad when she shall lack it. Again, this is going to foreshadow the mental turmoil that Iago is going to use this object place Desdemona and Othello into later on. Be not known on it. I have use for it. Go leave it. He's not going to tell her why he wants to use it. But Iago does tell the audience why he's going to use it. He's on his own here, so we have a little soliloquy. I will in Cassio's lodging lose this napkin and let him find it. Trifles light as air are to the jealous confirmations strong as proofs of holy writ. Again, Shakespeare here echoes. This is very similar to the kind of aphorism, as in like wise sayings that Iago comes out with, but in this case, it's to the audience in the soliloquy, and it's for his own benefit as well. So he's saying like something insignificant can seem massive to someone who's really jealous. This may do something. The more already changes with my poison. Metaphor. Dangerous conceits are in their nature's poison, which at the first are scarce bound to distaste, but with a little act upon the blood burn like the mines of sulphur. So this is him acting upon Othello and making him more and more jealous. So Othello comes in. I did say so. Look where he comes. So this is an aside to the audience. Not poppy nor mandragora, nor all the drowsy syrups of the world shall ever medicine thee to that sweet sleep which thou owedst yesterday. So he's saying from now on, you're never going to sleep well again. Othello, he doesn't say it to him. It's more, this is for the audience's benefit. So he's not going to know. Haha, false to me. Now this is Othello effectively talking to himself. He's obsessed with Desdemona, thinking about her. Why, how now, General, no more of that? This again echoes the manipulative advice he gave to Rodrigo back at the end of Act 1. Avaunt, begone, thou hast set me on the rack. That's a metaphor, torture device, that rack, yeah. When you're actually stretching someone out on the rack. I swear it is better to be much abused than but to know it to a little. So he doesn't know what's going on, and he's in mental turmoil. What sense had I her stolen hours of lust? I saw it not, thought it not, it harmed not me. I slept the next night well, fed well, was free and merry. I found not Cassio's kisses on her lips. He that is robbed, not wanting what is stolen, let him know it, and he's not robbed at all. This proves how Othello's mind has been programmed by Iago. This is exactly what Iago said earlier on, isn't it? Remember that again, I'm doing air quotes, wise advice about saying, the ignorance is bliss, effectively, earlier on when he said that. The man being cheated on and doesn't know about it is fine. But now Othello knows he can't rest. So this proves that Iago's poison is working in Othello's mind. So we have Othello here using, Shakespeare's using this for Othello, like hyperbole here. I'm happy if the general camp, pioneers and all, these are like the low-ranking soldiers, had tasted her sweet body, so I had nothing known. So hyperbole of saying, if I knew nothing, it would have been better. The whole camp could have had sex with her, and I didn't know about it. I would be able to rest. Ignorance would be bliss. Oh, now forever farewell the tranquil mind, another metaphor. Farewell content, this is anaphora. Farewell the plumed troops and the big wars that make ambition virtue. Oh, farewell. It feels like his whole life is ruined. He's been a leader, he's a general. His life feels like it's over. Farewell, farewell, the neighing steed and the shrill trump. This is all the sort of pomp and circumstance and glory of war, the spirit-stirring drum, the ear-piercing fife, the royal banner, and all quality, pride, pomp, and circumstance of glorious war. And O you mortal engines, whose rude throats the immortal Jove's dread clamours counterfeit, farewell. Othello's occupation's gone. He can't do his job anymore. He can't concentrate. It's ruining his life, this obsession. Is it possible, my lord? Villain, be sure thou prove my love a whore. Be sure of it. He challenges Iago here. Give me the ocular proof. Ocular means to do with sight. Othello, unlike the racist characters in this play, has to see proof. He's a good man. Othello is a good man. Othello needs to see proof. Iago didn't need any proof to hate Othello. Brabantio didn't need any proof to hate Othello. Their racism was enough. Othello is a good man. He needs proof. He wants to see the good in people. Or by the worth of mine eternal soul, thou hadst better have been born a dog than answer my naked wrath. So he'd be really angry if this proves to be wrong. But of course, unfortunately, there's dramatic irony here because Othello is putting trust in the worst person he could put his trust in. Make me see it, or at least so prove it that the probation bear no hinge nor loop to hang a doubt on, or woe upon thy life. My noble lord, if thou dost slander her and torture me, never pray more. Abandon all remorse on horror's head, horrors accumulate. So remember, Othello is a warrior. He's a tough man. He's a potentially very dangerous man to get on the wrong side of. So there's actually quite a lot at stake here. So Iago has to prove that Desdemona is cheating on him. Othello will go berserk. He's gonna. I fear for Iago's life. I think I'd fear for my life if I was Iago. I don't fear for Iago's life. He's horrible. But if I was Iago, I would fear for my life because Othello is angry. If he's angry, he's going to be dangerous. He's a warrior. He's a tough guy. So you have. On horror's head horrors accumulate, do deeds to make heaven weep, all earth amazed, for nothing canst thou to damnation add greater than that. It's going to be worse than hell for you, effectively. O grace, heaven forgive me, are you a man, have you soul or sense? God be with you, take mine office, O wretched fool that lives to make thine honesty a vice, O monstrous world. So Iago basically says, I am going to tell you the truth, you can trust me. Nay, stay, thou shouldst be honest. I should be wise, for honesty is a fool and loses that it works for. I think my wife be honest and think she is not. So this is all kind of paradoxical. This is why Othello is in such mental turmoil, because he's got two conflicting states of mind at the same time. I think that thou art just and I think thou art not. So again, you've got parallel phrasing here and you've got this deliberate paradox. That's why Othello, he's in turmoil, because he's seeing both sides at the same time all the time. Her name that was as fresh as Dian's visage, and then again this is more self-deprecation here, reflecting the prejudices of Shakespeare's society. There was as fresh as Dian's visage, is now begrimed and black as mine own face. Well, begrimed, but he's saying that Desdemona's face is grimy like his own black face. I mean, that's... it's now you've got Othello is effectively subscribing to the prejudices of the society that he's living and applying them to himself. You could argue that this is something that Iago has made him do. He's lost confidence. He's lost confidence in his own identity, where now he's now transferring the opinions of racist society and reflecting them on himself. You could argue it that way, but of course contextually it reflects the prejudices of the era and of Shakespeare himself writing it. And then, I see you are eaten up with passion. I do repent me that I put it to you. You would be satisfied? So, I'm so sorry that I've got you upset like this. He's not, of course. And may, but how satisfied, my lord? Would you, the supervisor, grossly gape on, behold her topped? Iago is putting ideas in her head of saying, would you witness another man having sex with her? Is that the evidence that you want? And this is, again, to plant that image in Othello's mind to disturb him. Death and damnation, oh, if it were a tedious difficulty, I think, to bring them to that prospect. Damn them, then, if ever mortal eyes do see them bolster more than their own. What then? How then? What shall I say? Where is satisfaction? A series of interrogatives here. It's impossible you should see this, were they as prime as goats, as hot as monkeys, as salt as wolves in pride, this is all parallel phrasing, as fools as gross as ignorance made drunk. But yet I say, if imputation and strong circumstances which lead directly to the door of truth, that's another metaphor, will give you satisfaction, you might have it. So yeah, you're going to have to see the proof, not necessarily watching them have sex, but to see them, to actually get the proof of the affair. Give me a living reason she's disloyal. I do not like the office, basically the job. I will do it. And then he gives an extra story here. This is probably just made up. Could be true, but with Iago, I think it's made up. I lay with Cassio lately, so he's sleeping in the same room because they're soldiers, and being troubled with a raging tooth, I could not sleep. He couldn't sleep because he had a bad tooth. There are kind of men so loose of soul that in their sleeps will mutter their affairs. One of this kind is Cassio. In sleep I heard him say, "Sweet Desdemona, let us be wary, let us hide our loves," saying that Cassio has been talking in his sleep about Desdemona. And then so would he grip and wring my hand, cry, "Oh, sweet creature," and then kiss me hard, as if plucked up kisses by the roots that grew upon my lips, then laid his leg over my thigh and sighed and kissed, and then cried, "Cursed fate that gave thee to the moor." So they're sleeping together now. Of course, you can use this as a sense of there's maybe a homoeroticism thing going on here, like in terms of the symbolism. There is an interpretation of the play that Iago's hatred is actually stemmed through a denial of his own homosexual attraction to Othello. That is a modern critical reading of it, and you can go off and research that and have a look at it if you're interested as well. But you could say that it echoes that. But I think it's just that they're sleeping together because they're soldiers and they're sharing a billet effectively. So you have this idea of Cassio talking in his sleep, and this is very flimsy evidence. I had a dream. I was woken up by Jar Jar Binks, but he wasn't really there. Dreams aren't evidence. Dreams aren't evidence, are they? But Othello is so consumed. It's not the evidence he can really need, but it adds to his sense of paranoia about Desdemona's behaviour. But this denoted a foregone conclusion. 'Tis a shrewd doubt, though it be but a dream. So even though it's a dream, he is seeing it as this appears to be decent evidence, or some evidence towards it anyway. This may help to thicken other proofs that do demonstrate thinly. So it adds to this. I'll tear her all to pieces. Nay, but be wise, yet we see nothing done. So Iago actually ironically advising some restraint here, but he's got Othello exactly where he wants him. She may be honest yet. Tell me about this. Have you not sometimes seen a handkerchief spotted with strawberries in your wife's hand? So look here how Iago, as a devil type character, is sowing this discontent in Othello's mind. "'Twas my first gift. I know not that, but such a handkerchief, I am sure it was your wife's, did I today see Cassio wipe his beard with." So he's saying, oh yeah, because remember I said about the handkerchief being an intimate item, and it's being used casually by Cassio to wipe his beard. If it be that, or if that was hers, it speaks against her with the other proofs. Oh, that the slave had 40,000 lives. One is too poor, too weak for my revenge. No, I do see 'tis true. Arise, black vengeance from the hollow hell. So again, remember when I said about Iago is maybe programming Othello to absorb the prejudices of the society that he's been living in. He's now seeing himself as a black monster, effectively, black vengeance from the hollow hell. He's seeing how racists perceive him. He's seeing himself in that way. Yield up, O love, thy crown and hearted throne, to tyrannous hate, swell bosom with thy thwart, for 'tis of aspics tongues. Oh, blood, blood, blood. So Othello is now far away from that dignified, controlled, authoritative general that we've seen earlier on in the play. Now he is a being of rage. Patience, I say, your mind perhaps may change. Never. Iago, like to the Pontic sea, whose icy current and compulsive course never feels retiring ebb. This refers to his adventures of all the things he's been on. but keeps due on to the Propontic and the Hellespont. He's been on various wars and battles all over the place. These are in Europe, though. That's Greece, Greek Sea. The violent pace shall never look back, nor ebb to humble love, till that a capable and wide revenge swallow them up. He's going to get his revenge. He's determined. Now by yond marble heaven, in the due reverence of a sacred vow, I here engage my words. So this is like a prayer, like a dark prayer, vowing he's going to get his revenge. Witness, you ever burning lights above, and Iago is happy to join in with this. Witness that here Iago doth give up the execution of his hand's heart to wronged Othello's service. Let him command, and to obey shall be in me in remorse that bloody business ever. So this is them effectively making a pact. They're going to work together, and of course it's dramatic irony here because we know this is awful for Othello. This is going to be terrible. I greet thy love, not with vain thanks, but with acceptance bounteous, and will upon the instant put thee to it. Within these 3 days let me hear thee say that Cassio's not alive. My friend is dead, 'tis done at your request, but let her live. Damn her, lewd minx, oh damn her, damn her. This is ironic because they're all going to end up going to hell down this path that they're going down thanks to Iago. Come, go with me apart. I will withdraw to furnish me with some swift means of death for the fair devil. So emphasis of ethnicity here. And remember Othello's own insecurity, comparing himself to Cassio for the fair devil. And then ironic, the fair devil, though, isn't Cassio. The fair devil is Iago, the white man who claims to be the black man's friend. This white man, Iago, he is the devil. And he is corrupting Othello. Now art thou my lieutenant. I'm your own forever. Iago has now achieved one of his objectives. Well, he's achieved a couple here in this scene. He's got Othello completely under his control. He's got Othello under his control in the same way that he had Roderigo. Roderigo was like a prototype for getting Othello kind of whipped up and under his control. Othello is now under Iago's control, even though ironically, of course, he is his lieutenant. He's a lower rank than him, but it's actually, this is like when Cassio said, my captain's captain about Desdemona. Lieutenant, now the lieutenant is really the general. It's Iago who is in complete control. And he's also got the objection of say, yeah, he's now got this position. He's now achieved one of his objectives, which is to take Cassio's place. He is now the lieutenant. So that was all quite exciting, really. That's the end of that scene. It's a big scene, long scene. Hope you enjoyed that. Like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, watch my other videos. Have a good day or night, whatever you are doing. And don't have nightmares, or at least don't talk in your sleep. Anyway, goodbye.